Hey Tubies, it's Deidre. I'm back today with another video. Today my video is actually going to be tips to my fellow transitioners. I'm going to try to make this video as short as possible. I know I have the tendency to blab a lot, so I'm not going to try to go into too much detail and everything, so bear with me. So I just wanted to get that out of the way right now. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I'm going to give these tips as if you were starting with a freshly washed hair, like you were starting the process from washing all the way up until styling, if that makes any sense. In my mind, it makes sense, so it probably won't make sense to anybody else, and I'm just hoping that it doesn't get lost in translation. So with that being said, I'm just going to start. My first tip, and if I keep looking down, it's because I'm looking at these notes that I wrote here, so sorry. The first tip that I have is, the number one tip that I have is to attach your transition with an emotion. And the reason why I say that is because if you have a goal, a purpose, and something that it's attached to a feeling or an emotion, or it steers you up inside, it will keep you on track, and it will make you stay focused onto why you want to keep transitioning and not break in and get a relaxer. I have one, so I think you don't necessarily have to do this, but I feel like for me, when I think about I'm gonna relax or this is too hard, I stop, I think about it, and I said there's a reason why I decided to transition to begin with. What was that reason? And so I think about that, and it keeps me going forward when some days I'm just like, ah. My second tip is to determine whether you're gonna big chop or long-term transition. And the reason why I say that's a tip is to, have it in mind of what it is that you're going to do. So that if you know you're going to big chop, you know that you have a certain mind or a certain time in your mind, and if things start to get hard, if you were already going to big chop anyways, you can move that time up. But if you're going to long-term transition, you might want to get that set in your mind right away, so that way you understand that as time goes on and you get more natural hair, it's gonna get hard. So, just keep in mind of what your goals are, if you're gonna big chop or long-term transition. That probably didn't make any sense. But, okay. So, my next tip is detangle before you wash your hair. The reason why I say this is because it saves a lot of time depending on how you wash your hair, and that's going to be my next tip. So it saves a lot of time if you're one of those people like myself who washes my hair in the shower. It saves a lot of frustration because there's been times where I did not detangle my hair before I got in the shower, and I got in there and I tried to shampoo my hair, and my hair was getting all matted up, and it was a nightmare. So this ties in with determine how you're going to wash your hair. Now, I know you're probably thinking like, what do you mean how you're going to wash your hair? If you're determine whether you're not you're going to be someone who's going to wash your hair in the sink, like, just tilt your head over the sink, or if you're going to be in the shower and you wash your hair like this and it goes back, or if you're going to be somebody like myself. Like I said, I part my hair into 4 sections when I am detangling. I go from here and then here, and I detangle each section, and I clip it up, and when I get in the shower, I wash and deep condition in sections. It makes life so much more easier. Trust me, if you're going to do it that way, or if you want something that's going to make things easier, do it that way. Especially as you get further and further into your transition, it's just going to help, and you're going to thank me later, I promise. And if you are going to wash your hair like in the shower and you don't want to do your hair in sections, it would be best to wash your hair back like this. That way you're not tangling your hair up. And I was going to say, if you're someone who washes your hair this way, like over the sink or the tub, don't even bother with detangling your hair before you wash your hair, because there's really no point, because you're just gonna mess everything back up, tangle up everything anyway, so don't even bother. My next tip is to determine what kind of shampoo you're going to use. Me personally, I think you should use, determine what kind of shampoo you're going to use. Actually go back with the determining how you're going to wash your hair. You also want to determine how often you're going to wash your hair. For me, I don't quite stretch it out to 2 weeks, but I'm definitely over a week when I wash my hair. It's probably like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, just because I think you should have a moisture and a protein shampoo, switching, alternating between the two, as well as a deep conditioner. I feel that you should have a moisture deep conditioner and a protein deep conditioner that you alternate between the two. And that goes into my next tip, deep conditioning. I don't really think this has anything to do with transitioning. I just think that if you are on a hair journey in general, you should deep condition. I think deep conditioning is important for relaxed hair, natural hair, texturized or texlaxed hair, hair in general. So that's not really a tip for transitioning, just tips in general. Just deep condition your hair. How many times is up to you. If you have drier hair, you may want to deep condition more often than not. Shampooed your hair. Now you're to the point of whether or not you are going to blow dry and flat iron your hair, which leads me to my next tip, heat. A lot of people will say to stay away from heat when you are transitioning because it's not good for your hair, you can get heat damage and blah, 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 blah. And I say this, do whatever is going to make your transition easier. Each transition is different to each individual. You cannot do what the next person does. Just because Elizabeth does not apply heat to her hair ever doesn't mean that that's gonna be what you can do. If putting heat on your hair is what you can do to deal with the two to manage the two textures, then go ahead and do it. Now, I'm not saying put heat on your hair every single day, and I'm not even saying put heat on your hair every week. If you're gonna put heat on your hair, try to make it at least 2 times a month. So that means every 2 weeks. You can't base, like I said, your transition on the next person. I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for some people that are like, you know, that's bad tip for somebody. And I say this, unless that person is going to come to your house and help you with your hair when it's getting hard and you can't deal with it, I say tell those people to shut the hell up and mind their own business. You have to do what makes sense for you and what's easiest for you. But don't get crazy with it, and make sure if you do put heat on your hair, always, always protect your hair with heating protectors and washing your hair with like heat activated shampoos and conditioners. And deep condition definitely before you put heat on your hair. And moving on to moisturizers. Now that you've either flat ironed your hair or you just said, hey, I'm gonna wear my natural hair, you're moving on to moisturizers. And I didn't mention anything about leave-ins because leave-ins is one of those things where, well, actually, depending on how I wear my hair, if I'm wearing my hair straight, I will put in liquid leave-ins, something that's not going to weigh my hair down. If I'm wearing my hair where I'm putting it in my signature bun, then I will put in a creamy one, a liquid one. I'll put them both in. I don't really care because it's not like I'm wearing my hair out anyways. So that is a personal choice to the individual on leave-ins as well. Now on to moisturizers. There's water-based moisturizers, or I'm on to moisturizers, meaning moisturizing your hair is another tip. Keeping your new growth soft is essential. It is vital when you are transitioning. I say that is probably the #1 tip out of all these tips, is just keeping your new growth soft. That is what's going to keep your breakage at a minimum. If your hair is dry or if it's weak, it's gonna break. It's gonna break a lot. That's my biggest challenge too, is keeping my new growth soft and moisturized. I have the driest hair on the planet, I feel like, and sometimes a lot of things that I use just don't work. But what I do when I moisturize my hair, I find that spraying my hair with like an oil-based water-like substance, I'm trying to think, like the Shea Moisture hibiscus coconut spray, that stuff, I spray my hair with that, or like that Garnier Fructis oil spray that you have to shake up. I find that, or even S-Curl, I find that if I spray my hair with my new growth with that first, before I even put a moisturizer in my hair, that makes all the difference the next day, even then and there. Like, my hair is super duper soft when I use something to spray my new growth first. And then there's water-based moisturizers and there's oil-based moisturizers. I say if you have drier hair, you should use a oil-based moisturizer. And if you have easier to manage hair, your hair holds moisture very well, you could probably get away with using a water-based moisturizer. Or if your hair is straight like mine, if you straightened your hair, you might want to use a water-based moisturizer, even though you're probably thinking like it'll make your hair revert. You're not, the whole point to moisturizing your hair is not to saturate your hair to get it wet again. It's just to get it moisturized enough so that way it's not dry anymore. And water-based moisturizers will keep your hair from getting weighed down. Oil-based moisturizers are going to weigh your hair down, especially if you moisturize and seal your hair every day. And that's another tip, is to seal that moisturizer in with an oil of your choice. Me personally, I like to seal my hair in with coconut oil. I love coconut oil. I love the smell of it. All kinds of oils out there. That's another one that is to your individual, the preference of the individual, but it's something that I say is important. Now, how often you moisturize and seal is up to you. I don't moisturize and seal every day because I don't like product buildup in my hair. I don't like putting my hands in my head and I can feel product. It's gross. And because I try to prolong having to wash my hair, that's definitely not going to help me by piling on moisturized hair. So listening to your hair and understanding your hair is another tip. My next tip, I think I have something on my back here, are trims. Yes. If you're going to be a long-term transitioner, you need to decide how often you're going to trim your hair. If you're somebody who's going to big chop, I don't know if you got, but decide on how often you're going to cut your hair. You don't have to cut your hair every month. You don't have to cut your hair every 2 months. It's all up to you. But the more you cut of your hair, obviously the faster you are going to be at being natural. And that's another tip. If you're going to be long-term transitioners, decide how long you're going to transition for. If your absolute goal is planning on being natural, decide on how long you actually want to do this for. So you know at some point this craziness is going to come to an end. I will not have to deal with this forever. I know you're probably thinking, well, long-term transition means that I'm just going to transition until I have no more relaxed hair. And that's true, but some people long-term transition for like 2 years and then they say after 2 years, I'm just gonna cut it off. So yeah, just decide on how often you're gonna trim your hair and trim your hair, because, you know, if your whole goal is to go natural, you're never gonna go natural if you never cut your ends. Now, I don't cut my ends every month. I probably cut my ends, actually I do cut my ends every month. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm sitting here lying. Tip is to just leave your hair alone. I don't do a whole lot with my hair lately, and part of it is because I'm lazy. Part of it is because I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't really go anywhere, so there's no reason for me to do my hair. And part of it is just that I don't like dealing with my hair anymore. I get a go-to hairstyle, and I mean a hairstyle that you can do if you are having a bad hair day, if you are in a hurry and you've got to hurry up and get out of the house, or something that is easy to do that you can whip this hairstyle up no matter what. For me, is low maintenance styles. I'm not necessarily saying protective styles because I like to wear my hair out, but protective styles is something that is also another option if that's what you want to do. But another tip, like I said, are low maintenance hairstyles. It's something that will make your relaxed hair and your new growth hair or your natural hair blend together very well. Those could be braid outs, bantu knot outs, twist outs, buns, ponytails. Those are more protective hairstyles, but get used to those hairstyles, learn them, love them, embrace them, because they're going to be your best bet if you are somebody who is frustrated and don't know how to deal with your hair. But like I said, those are awesome hairstyles to help you blend your natural hair and your relaxed hair together, because your relaxed hair will have a little bit of texture on it. Just to be patient. It gets easier, and I know right now, depending on where you are in your transition, you're probably thinking like it's easier said than done, but trust me, I am right there with a lot of people. It's not going to be the hardest thing you're ever going to do in your life, but it's not the easiest thing either. So once you learn to embrace this process and this journey and just be patient and follow some of these tips, and you should be good. You should be good, relatively good. And I just had a thought in my mind just to remember that each transition is different to each person. So always remember that what works for somebody else is not always going to work for you. So please, understanding your hair, listening to your hair, and just being patient. That's all I'm going to say about that. I hope some of these tips helped. somebody. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. If you have any questions, please ask me. I'm here to help anybody that needs any help whatsoever. Thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. And until next time, peace out. Actually, that'd be peace out. Ugh.